What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back with more Konosuba. Now, I already recorded this video earlier, and actually, I never launched it, because after rewatching it, I gave a second consideration to the banners that we're going to look at here in a few moments. But first things first, we do have new events, so let's talk about that real quick. There's not really a whole lot new here. In fact, it's unfortunately already a day past. But I did want to recover the banner, because I don't think I was quite fair to one of the units on the banner. So, what we're going to talk about here is basically the Elite Bounty Warrioress. I always goof that one up. Basically, this is just like a lot of the other events we've had. Of course, you have your 12 normal fights here. You have your 4 normal fights here. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to finish this up before the end of the day. Just very busy today. But these are the ones that basically you would spam, and you should be able to beat them pretty quickly with just about any old team, and then you come in and do a skip. Unfortunately, you can already tell I missed these today, but it's easy enough to make up. It's really not the end of the world to miss one day, because you can still come over here to the normal mode. I could drop some skip tickets and just quickly amass a bunch of those, so I'm not terribly worried about this. I will definitely still have plenty of points, and what you're going to do is you're going to fight this every day, earn some points to come over here, and then to battle the Orc Warrioress, who is our main antagonist for this particular event. Now, the fight here is pretty straightforward. The one thing I do want to say, and they did this a while ago, but I really appreciate the fact you don't have to fight through all these now. You can just pick whatever difficulty you want to address here and just go straight in. Of course, you want to change your multiplier to 3 if you feel like you're going to be able to beat this, which you probably should be able to. And it says down here, let's go ahead and make sure we read this right, and this is very important, pay close attention, because this is kind of a minor spoiler for the banner, okay? Water elements are effective, and having fire resistance will give you the edge in battle. Now, nothing really new there, right? We've heard that before. We've seen that before. No big deal. It just means basically use fire resistance on your defensive side. Well, bear that in mind here in about 2 minutes. But first, I do want to say that you do have the option to solo this, or per usual, go in here with a group. Under multi, you can either create a room, or I like to just join a room and just, whatever. Even if your room fails, you don't seem to lose that many points. And right now, this early in the match, it's so easy to farm up other stuff. Plus, if you've got a really solid team, then you should be able to jump in here and make MVP. MVP will give you so many more points. It is so worthwhile. The only time it's not worthwhile is when you do lose, but even then, like I said, you don't lose enough points for it to really matter that much. Just go in and reattempt it. So, that's pretty much that. We shall talk about the reward system here real quickly, and it's, pretty typical. It is a gacha system again. The gacha system is back, so you want to make sure you get enough points to basically do all of these gachas. So, let's go ahead and do our confirm steps here. So step 1, which is where we're going to start off, you're obviously going to get your skill potions for your unique character that you're going to get out of this. Explosion Festival Medal. These are new medals that just arrived in the game. We'll cover those in a little more detail later. But there's a ton of just interesting stuff in here, and of course some eras, some minor upgrade stones, a lot of good stuff. Come over here to step 2. You have caddy reliefs and the unique skill potions. You have to amass everything there in the top row before you can proceed. You can actually proceed without collecting everything here, but I like to try to collect everything. It's in an event like this, it's super easy. Like, if you're just running this event every single day and you're doing your fights at least every other day or something, you should have more than enough points to get all the way up to step 6. So, step 5, you got more skill potions, you got access medals. But all along the way, you got the Explosion Festival medals, you got the recruitment tickets, you got all kinds of stuff here. Step 4 is skill potions and caddy reliefs. Step 5 are just caddy reliefs. And step 6, then, come on, there you go. These are Gaia Dagger scrolls. Now, step 6 is the last step. Once you're here, basically you can refresh this, but it never goes beyond this. The nice part is, in theory, you could farm those Gaia Dagger scrolls nearly infinitely. So you really could, if you really wanted to spam the crap out of this event, you could really amass a ton of these in a very short amount of time. So I would highly recommend taking advantage of that. But literally just fight the fights, come in here, and I like to go up here to go to draw settings, set it to 100, and literally just, amass as many rewards as I can. It's super easy. So that brings me to the banners. Now, right out of the gate, this is not the banner that I really wanted to talk about, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this banner a little bit later because there's an interesting little, I guess, caveat to this banner, okay? So this is a selection banner. What you're going to do is you're going to go in here, you're going to select a character, okay? Let's just say for the sake of our grabber, okay? Phrasing. And what it's going to do is it's going to give me a free 4-star, and it's going to be one of her 4 stars, it seems. So she has 4 4-stars that it could potentially draw from. A lot of these 4-stars are older, but you can come over here, you can do a free ticket. Here's my recommendation. Put the brakes on this for a day or two. I'm going to do a little research on this because some of these 4-stars are still pretty good, and some of these 4-stars have been massively, and I mean massively, outshined. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to do a tier list of all the 4-stars in here, and we're going to determine what units will actually be the biggest benefit to you, which unit you should select for this. So that's going to be a whole other thing. We'll talk about that here in a couple of days. This will be around for the better part of a month, so we've got some time on it. I would not do this now. I would wait a little bit. Do not squander that option, because if you pick the wrong unit and you get the wrong 4-star, it could just be a complete waste of time. So we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the new banners. Bam. Come on. There we go. The Yukata Festival banners. So I initially was really critical of the Amy unit here. Really critical of the Amy unit. Let me kind of explain. So if we go down here, Hydra Burst, Skill 1, is a 109 water magic damage to all enemies, 137 when HP is 70% or above. Now, that's a cooldown of 23 seconds. Those numbers ain't great. Those numbers are pretty bad. And a 23-second cooldown is atrocious. That's probably some of the way. I think there's only a handful that have a higher cooldown, and those units are extremely few and far between. But the part of this that I initially was really critical about, and I'm going to kind of change my tune on this. Moderate reduction of fire damage for all allies for 12 seconds. Now, initially, the numbers kind of suck. And whenever I go into a situation like this, I look at that and I go, how often are you going to use this? Okay. The reality is, every time you use a water team, you're going to use this. Every single time you use a water team, you're going to want that fire resistance. So really, initially, when I see something like this, my brain goes, this will only work on one team. Well, yeah. But in this game, elemental teams are elemental teams. It's rare you mix and match elements on a team. I mean, you can, but with a unit like this, there really is no downside to this unit. This unit is always going to be good when the water team is called for. I mean, there are maybe rare circumstances, but 90% of the time, 99% of the time, whenever you are asked to draw on a water team, this unit will be beneficial. There will be rare instances where it's not. So I'm going to change my tune. Initially, I was really skeptical about this, and I actually really like this. The more I sit down, the more I ponder this, the more I think about this, I think that's a fantastic skill. Darn near a broken skill, because remember, that's all allies. That puts up a big defensive buff. And remember what I said, pay close attention to the wording in the event. If you have this unit on your team in this event, it is going to be totally game-changing. Now, Marine Shot, another skill I love. 128 water magic damage to one enemy, minor recovery for all allies at fixed intervals. That's another really fantastic skill. That's good all across the board. You could actually use her as a healer with that skill alone. Her first skill does kind of become wasted at that point, but, the heal skill is really good. Then her third skill is a 113 water magic damage to one enemy, and that's pretty standard. Like 113% is about what we're seeing nowadays. Plus, she does get 7% as a sub, and once again, that's pretty average for units right now. Now, that is Amy. Let's talk about Rin. Okay? And I really did like Rin right out of the gate. 161 earth magic damage to one enemy, 216 if the enemy is debuffed. Now, here's the crazy thing. 13-second cooldown. You're going to get this a lot. There's one downside to this, and we'll talk about that here in a second, okay? Skill 2 is a 127 earth magic damage to one enemy, significant reduction of their magic defense for 12 seconds, and cooldown is 15 seconds. Great. That sounds awesome, right? You get the debuff, then you go in, you do skill 1, everything's golden, right? Everything looks good. Bear in mind, this skill has a 15-second cooldown. Your first skill has a 13-second cooldown. If you do skill 2 and then you do skill 1, you will have a great combo and you're going to be producing lots of damage. The problem is, skill 1 is going to completely recharge, while skill 2 is finally kicking back in. So if you're auto-running this, your auto-run is going to have a severe deficit in comparison to what you could get if you manually ran this and paid attention. Always skill 2, then skill 1. Always skill 2, then skill 1. Maybe you do skill 1, then skill 2, and then wait for skill 1 to come back. That's a distinct possibility. The only real downside of this is that these are only single target units. There's no AoE factor here. But fantastic units. I absolutely adore both these units. Now, I am very, very low on quartz. So I'm going to one and done on this, but I'm also going to farm up some quartz and try to hit this banner a little bit later. I already hit this banner once, and I didn't get squat from it. But I am definitely going to farm some quartz and go back into this banner, because I think this banner is absolutely fantastic. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. I'm going to mulligan this. I know it's going to hurt. I'm going to be losing so much quartz here. I literally just went in. Ooh, I like that. Literally just went into the legendary banner yesterday. You got legendary megamines, so I'm very low on quartz at the moment. But I do have a lot of farmable quartz, so I'm going to be working on that. And we got... Okay. Moonlight Meeting ROA. I'm not mad about that. That's a good unit, but it definitely isn't the new ones. And I'm so low on quartz. We have 6,000. We'll do one more. We'll do one more. Man, I'm gonna be mad at myself if I don't get a 4-star here. But I do really like these units. I think these units are fantastic. Like I said, we didn't get one. Initially, I was very skeptical, and I tried to maintain my skepticism. And I'm always a little skeptical when a unit only has one use. But the reality here is that unit doesn't only have one use. That Amy unit. That unit has a use any single time there's a water element fight. So I really like this unit. I think this unit is really unique, has a great skill. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments section down below. But I've changed my tune on this, because I did think initially, like, it's a really long cooldown, and, you know, it's one use only. But it actually is... I mean, I've already made the argument. So let me know your argument if you argue against it. By all means, I think it would be interesting to at least have the conversation. But I 100%, after mulling it over all day long, I think I've changed my tune. I think I really, really like this unit. Like, comment, share, guys. Sorry this video is a little later than expected, but as I said, I did mull it over. I had to go back and remake it. So we're going to upload this a little later than I anticipated, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that selection banner here. If not tomorrow, definitely the day after, and I'll do my summon, do my polls, and I'll give you my opinions on that here coming up real soon. See you guys then.